We have a new Lattafa fragrance that we have to talk about. This is Lattafa's Ajwad Pink to Pink Creamy Elixir. I'm not sure if I'm saying that properly. There's like 3 different names on the bottle, but that's what I think that it is. So this, I think, is the 3rd release of this Ajwad line. I haven't smelled any of the previous ones. I think one of them is supposed to be a dupe of the Oud Maracuja fragrance or something like that. I don't know. But I haven't smelled any of the other 2 because I haven't heard the greatest of reviews about them, but maybe I will. But let's talk about this one today. I have some thoughts. Overall, I would say I'm a little bit underwhelmed, but not necessarily because this is a bad fragrance. So let's get into it. So this is a raspberry forward fragrance that has a heart of white chocolate along with some vanilla. Of course, I'll put the notes on screen for you to take a look at. So when you initially spray this fragrance, you definitely get hit with the raspberry. Like I mentioned, it's a very raspberry forward scent. So you're gonna get that classic pretty, pink, girly, feminine type of DNA for sure with this one. As it continues to settle down on my skin, that's when I start to get a little bit more of that creamy white chocolate, slightly lactonic feel from the overall profile. But I want to really emphasize the fact that I would not consider this fragrance to be a very strong, milky or creamy type of scent. It still comes off as like a refreshing, sparkling type of scent with a little bit of a creamy, milky vibe. Think like 1% milk or like low-fat milk, a small amount, a dash of that to add a little bit of creaminess to kind of cut the potential sharpness in the scent from the fruit, but not enough to make it at least what I would consider to be, super thickety, fall type of gourmand. By fall type of gourmand, I'm talking about like your Bianco lattes, your Arabian's Tonka, your Mouillet by Daniel Rene, which is a true, like, strong, heavy white chocolate fragrance. This isn't going to be that strong in that area. So if you're looking for that type of, traditional, thick, heavy, creamy, really rich gourmand, it's not that. It is still very much refreshing, sparkling a little bit, raspberry with a little bit of milk overall. In terms of the performance, I would consider it to be moderate. It's not, super light to where it goes away in less than half an hour and I'm mad at it, but it's also not a beast mode scent. I get about 5 hours of wear before it turns into, complete skin scent on my skin. And that is, of course, with overspraying. I think the reason why overall, though, I would say I'm a bit underwhelmed with this release is because I'm getting a little bit tired of the raspberry, guys. I'm getting a little tired of the raspberry. It feels like every release these days is raspberry focused. Last year when people were complaining about the constant barrage of vanilla fragrances, I was like, what's the problem? We get a vanilla every week. This is great. I was like in my prime because, of course, I'm a vanilla obsessed human. That's my favorite note in fragrance. So I could never get enough vanilla releases. Well, maybe I could. Maybe I should never say never. I'm sure it could happen, but it didn't happen to me last year. I think I'm now feeling what those individuals were feeling, but just about raspberry. I mean, I was going through my collection. I haven't even gone through all of them. These were just some of the few that like popped up in terms of raspberry releases this year. We have Riff's Home, Riff's Whore, Paris Corner or Avea, Atralia Rouge Orchard, Cudlajria, and most recently Petra Viola. And that's not to say that any of those fragrances are bad. There's nothing wrong with the raspberry note, but it's a lot. And unfortunately, I feel like the way that raspberry is done in fragrance, unlike vanilla, to me, vanilla is a very versatile note, right? You can get sweet vanillas, dark vanillas, moody vanillas. I feel like the way that raspberry is presented in fragrance is usually very similar. For example, out of all the ones that I just showed you, they're pretty much fruity florals, all of them, just different types of fruity florals, but none of them are like dark, rich raspberry or, woody raspberry. It's fruity floral raspberry. You're either gonna get a more prominent fruity raspberry or a little bit floral wrapped raspberry. Either way, it's one of those. So I'm bored. I'm bored with this DNA. I think if I had smelled Ajwad, Pink to Pink, Creamy Elixir, I wish they would pick one name, but I think if I had smelled that fragrance a few months ago, maybe back in April, I would say, oh, this is such a really nice, perfect for the season, springtime, fruity, fresh, sparkling scent, which it is. It is still all of those things. But I think because we are getting very close to September, I don't know what time zones, I don't know what seasons you guys are in, but I am at the point where I am trying to get into more of those like transition fragrances and my fall fragrances. So I'm kind of all set with the fruity ones at the moment, but maybe that's not the case for everyone. And I could see this actually being a good transition option because of the slight creamy lactonicness to the overall profile. It's still, I think, you know, to me, it screams springtime and summertime, but because you get a little bit of that creaminess, maybe, you know, it could be seen as a good transition for someone who's like, I love my raspberries and I love Petra Viola, but maybe you want something that has a little bit more base to it that isn't so like fruity and airy. It's not going to be as fruity and airy as something like Viola, but it is still sparkly. It's still not, you know, crazy, standard, typical gourmand type of profile, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm hoping that Lattafa is just holding on to, you know, the best releases for fall and December, that they just haven't launched them yet, and that we're going to be getting them, because there's no way that this can be like the peak or the best of what that they can give us. It's okay, but it's just nothing earth-shattering, spectacular to me. But if you are someone who loves the note of raspberry, you want to collect every single raspberry perfume out there, you know, the same way that I want to collect every vanilla perfume out there, and you don't have a raspberry fragrance that has a slight milky lactonic vibe to it, then I would definitely recommend this one. I mean, it's affordable. The performance on this is not bad, and it for sure is very pretty and very feminine. I would also recommend layering this actually with Petra Viola. That's really pretty because, again, they both have that raspberry feel to them. So the Petra Viola just adds on even more of a fruity sparkliness to that DNA, if that is something that you are looking for. So overall, by no means a bad release whatsoever. I definitely don't want it to come off like I'm saying it's a bad perfume. It's definitely not a bad perfume. It's just for my personal taste and where we are at in the year with the influx of raspberry perfumes and the overall, you know, packaging and just the fact that it's not doing anything particularly special, I'm a little bit bored with this particular release, but that's okay. I feel like if we don't say these types of things, then we will get mediocre releases all the time from brands, and I don't want that. I think that they should always be trying to do better, and if that means that they do less releases, then good, but give us something, you know, a bit more. But anyways, let me know if you will be trying Ajwad Creamy Elixir, or if you're all set. Am I crazy about the raspberry influx? Are you super excited about the raspberry influx? Let me know, and I will see you guys back tomorrow for our next episode.